Well, hi there, racing fans, and welcome to Winning Ways for this week. And we got Laf with us, and we're going to have one of Laf's big mates, my big mate as well, Benny van der Merwe. Now, some of you might not know who Benny van der Merwe is, but most people do, because he's one of those good-looking guys that breeds horses down in the Eastern Cape. And he's quite a flash boy, Benny.
He's a flash boy. It's a great interview with him. Thanks to Andrew Bond. We did an interview with him up at the sales, and he really is an articulate vet. He knows what he's doing. He's right at the coalface of what's going on with the protocols for import and export. They've had their workshop. And sadly, though, he's a shocking dancer. Have you seen him dance?
No, I tell you what, Fred Astaire was better than him.
I thought he had cerebral palsy when he got on the dance floor, but he tells me he's taking medication. He just mustn't dance. You can't.
I thought he was an octopus that had fallen out of a tree. But at the end of the day, he's one of those guys that knows a lot about what's going on in horse racing, and especially being the head honcho there at Mutonshoek Farm. Benny, great
Top
friend,
man. Top man.
He's going to give us a lot of information about what's going on with protocols to export horses, because as we saw last week, there was a lot of excitement when the Hong Kong chief executive...
Engelbrecht.
Yeah, Engelbrecht.
Yeah, Engelbrecht, Mr. Engelbrecht, something or other.
He said, don't worry, we're going to organize horses. And I spent a bit of time with Mike, and he says, this guy's on our side. And he's...
Where's he from? Doornfontein with a surname like that?
Well, I think he's from downtown China, actually.
Is it? So he's working for us, and Benny van der Merwe is also a Doornfontein boy. But you'll have renewed respect for Benny when you listen to his interview. He's very good.
Did they not have respect for him before?
No, renewed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, excellent. Let's go on with the show and get away from the waffle and see if we can find three to follow. Well, just on Bloodstock South Africa, the mare sale, which is normally in June, has been moved to the 17th of July because of an African horse sickness outbreak in that area. And if you'd like any more information, get a hold of Caroline Simpson at the TBA, and she'll be able to fill you in as to what's going on with that sale. But let's go straight into our three to follow, and we go to the Vaal, where we find quite a nice looking horse, a Precursor.
Yeah, this horse is in the Ulster colours, and supported in his debut. He gets a few bumps. You'll see it through off the left with the black cap. And by Captain L out of Oracle News, the mare that I trained, she was a great filly.
She won 5, including Southern Cross or something.
She ran third in the Group 1. She won a Group 2. She was very good. And here it is showing good speed here. But when it's asked to run by Mr. Khumalo, this really quickly. So this is a smart horse, Precursor.
Yeah, it beat Ron.
Who?
Ron.
Okay.
Ron ran second. And Precursor's just on the inside there, on the left-hand side of your picture, just starting to hit the front, and goes on to win extremely easily. This is a 1,000-meter race.
Yeah, and this is very impressive, James. She doesn't look anything like the mother. The mother was by London News. Yeah, it was a chestnut by London News. But there's the Captain L. What a great stallion. And this horse is drawing away. It's a matter of later on for the runner-up. But this is very good.
Absolutely. Won a fantastic race, backed into odds on and then drifted again. But we're going to move on to Kenilworth, Saturday the 10th of May. And Walter's got a bunch of 2-year-olds, and we picked out a couple already which look like they're quite useful. Remember, we picked out horses like Lana Falcon, and he laughed at me. He said to me, hey, you know,
I don't know if it'll get there.
It's not so good. And, you know. Anyway, this one, Equity Kicker, ran in the first race, 1,000-meter at Kenilworth. And this looks like it was given a very quiet introduction. Let's go and have a look.
Yeah, this runs in Marsh Shirtlift's colours. You'll see it comes out of Trap 7. It's a very, very nice debut. There's some interesting horses in the race, and you'll find that 2 of them get clear. Simply Black and Destiny Driven get clear down the inside. The race splits into 2 groups, but the action's down the inside. It's a cracking good race. And Equity Kicker is only beaten a length and less than a length and a quarter.
It's almost last of that group. No, it's about third last of that group. It's on the left-hand side of the inside group, Equity Kicker. You can pick it up in the blue and white colours, Marsh's colours. and the front two just get right away from it. Here it gets shoved along. Let's get going. Let's get into the race.
That's trying to
And
get into the race.
just,
And what I like, James, a 2-year-old taking on older horses, it's by Trippy, and the front two are having a ding-dong battle, Simply Black and Destiny Driven. It's a great race, and they're going to be 1-2. And the horse on the outside runs a good race, Kono, but have a look at this. It puts its head into third, and it's called Equity Kicker. Keep an eye on this 2-year-old.
Perfect. How's it, Brett?
It's by Trippy. It's
Trippy?
Yeah, it's Trippy.
Okay.
It's from. Let me have a look here. Who's it for? Who's the breeder here? Claverflay. Sorry, it's Trippy from
Claverflay. There we
Claverflay
are.
Stud. Well done to them. And Marsh and his mates own this horse. Be with this horse next time.
Okay, we're going to go and have a look at the third one, and we go to Clearwood. We had to wait till the end of the week's racing, and the 11th race at Clearwood, Maiden Plate, fillies and mares. They went 1,600 meters. Information Highway. This, they backed like it was no settling, and just beaten by a horse that got away from a brilliant ride by Anton Marcus on the winner. Let's go and have a look at, pick them up at Clearwood. This is drawn trap 1.
Yeah, this horse, Information Highway, is by Dynasty. She's a daughter of Dynasty who's been coming along quietly, and the word was out that this horse was really doing well at home, would run a big race. The horse that beats it is called Regent's Agency, and that's the grey horse in the famous silks of Chris van Niekerk and Farmer. So he's right behind it now, and the pace suddenly picks up because I think it was Jemba
Jamming goes to the front,
Jamming
yeah.
goes to front, and they start stretching them out a little bit, and Sean sits back on Information Highway, keeping an eye on the eventual winner, Regent's Agency, which he tracks up the stretch.
Yeah, they're going pretty evenly here, no problem at all. But as they swing for home, you can see Anton's going well, and he tacks over, and suddenly Information Highway comes under a bit of pressure. And it's about now, you just see that Anton pulls out, and you see now Sean Cormack starting to give a push or two. He thinks, whoa, gee, don't let this get away from me. It's gone.
That's exactly what happens. Arthur's gone, off like a dirty shirt, Regent's Agency. And Sean Cormack knows he hasn't panicked. He's just punched it out in the hands, and he says, come on, you've got to close up this 3-4 lengths, and keeps trying up the straight, because the third horse is well beaten by these two, and there's only just over a length at the death. Sean realizes he's beaten in the final furlong. He doesn't punish runner-up, and it keeps trying all the way to the line.
Well, yeah, runs all the way to the line. The filly that ran third's always been there or thereabouts, and
Correct.
she's run off a wide draw. I think this filly will probably go in and win next time.
Yeah.
And certainly over a bit of ground. She looks like she's got the ability to be able to win a race like that. So certainly well worth watching Information Highway. And those look like a couple that you can have a go with.
Anthropus, Dr. Do you know him?
Yeah,
The breeder?
Dr. Anthropus. He's down there in the Western Cape. He's one of the vets that looks after all the breeding operations there. And certainly bred a couple of nice horses in his time. So nice to see that happen. We're going to go and have a look at Blast from the Past. We got the 2013 Sogo Sun Medallion, where Dennis Dreyer won it again with Captain of All.
They're set. Willow Magic's wrestlers. So too Norman's, both to settle in, and they're racing away. Norman slower for length and a half. Willow Magic's 3 off the right-hand side. Blue sleeves and cap in touch with them. Captain of All, black sleeves and cap came out alertly. Tommy Gunn's also right there, and Kocha towards the inside. Just in behind these runners, Captain's Reserve about 3.5, 4 lengths off them. Ace Antonius towards the inside bar. Then comes Hillbrow, Velvet Verona to the stand side, and Foyle gets a taste of the bit. Captain of All going the quickest in the Tsogo Sun Medallion, a length and a quarter. Kocha towards the inside. In between runners, Tommy Gunn, then Willow Magic. Over towards the inside, looking to get going as Normans, but it's Captain of All as they come to the last 300, still travelling in front. Willow Magic looks to apply the pressure. Normans has come under big pressure to the inside, and it's Captain of All clear by 2. Willow Magic trying to make his presence felt late on. Kocha's towards the inside. Still Captain of All goes the last 100 now. Ryder gets the whip in the left hand to secure the victory here. Willow Magic is looking to get going up the inside, but it's Captain of All in command, 3 parts of a length, and Captain of All's going to win it, shifting to the inside, but wins it by a length. Willow Magic second, then came Captain's Reserve and Kocha. Captain of All just started to shift towards the inside.
Well, Dennis won it the year before, I think, with Potent Power.
That's right.
Followed up
for
again.
Eric Burney's partners, correct?
Yeah, followed up again with this one.
Yeah.
Good race it was.
Now, this is the horse that came off the Clave farm sale. I think
Yeah.
that's the term they use.
Yeah,
And
60 grand or something.
60 grand. And I went
Crooked
down
legs.
crooked legs. But by, obviously, Captain Al, the flyer. I went down and there were some very nice lots to be taken this year. I think the farm sale is looking stronger and stronger every year. The figures are going up. A good sale to keep an eye on is the Clave sale. But James, interestingly enough, 3 horses from this race were Group 1 winners.
Yeah, well, that's what you'd expect out of the
Yeah.
top juvenile races. And, obviously a very good race indeed. And Normans was a horse that was a big disappointment. He
Yes.
was the hot favourite in the race, or second favourite, and he just never showed.
Yeah,
I
Willow
think-
Magic has proved it time and again. Kochka, very good. All Group 1 horses and Captain of All. So, as you say, it's a top race, and again, we're looming up for that race coming on.
25th of
Is it 24th or 25th?
24th of the
24th of this month.
of May.
Yeah.
Big race, 4 Group 1s.
4 Group
the
1s,
need
yeah.
for speed, the speed event at Scottsville.
Yeah.
Well worth getting yourself organised to go down and have a look at that lot.
Yeah.
Sunday, the 11th of May, we're going to have a look at our plum of the week, and we found a pretty good one here. Let's go and
Yeah.
have a look.
They're followed further back in the field by Starjet, who tries to get into the race. Resolution also runs on, but it's Red Flame who hit the front at the 200-meter marker. Resolution's back in second, and on the outside Starjet, but Red Flame is well in command inside the last 100, and Red Flame to win, gear down to win by about 2. Resolution second, Starjet third, then Masked Lady.
Well, she looked like the business's filly. She'd run in a feature the time
She
before.
ran second in the Group 3 the time before, lightly raced horse. I was speaking to Neil Bruss afterwards. The day she won her maiden, she had been pulled a shoe and stood on the shoe and hurt herself, and she still won comfortably. She's very good, winning over 18 here. James, there are a lot of big races that spring to mind for this. This is a top filly.
Well, you'll probably find that she'll either go for the Wollavington or the Natal Oaks, one of the two. But the Oaks is now for 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds and everything.
I spoke to Neil Bruss. He even said to me, he said, I can't believe it, they've done this.
Well,
and,
the problem is no one's going to run 3-year-olds in the race.
no, that's exactly it. He said he's not going to go there. He
So-
said change the name.
Yeah.
He said it's a classic race.
Yeah,
Change the name. People all over the world are bastardizing a great race. It's a good opinion of his.
Well, yeah, 100%. Everyone's got their opinions, and
Sure.
people will come with counter opinions of the Derby's run over
James-
2,000 metres. And,
Yeah, that's right.
But
Everyone's
this was despite all of that, this was a very good price. You could have got, at the death, 70-10 was the worst price you got. You could have got 3-1 on Interbet on this horse. And that's huge value
price,
for a horse that ran second in a Group 3, 9 a graduation plate. And
well, James, as you know, everyone's entitled to my opinion. You do know
Yeah.
that.
Is that so?
That's what I've been told you. But Red Flame, follow that as well.
Okay, well, we're following that as well, especially not in the Oaks, as it's called, or whatever it's going to be called. But we've got a couple of things to chat about in current affairs. Let's go and have a look there.
You want to get the best odds on horse racing and sporting events. For every bet requested, we review all the bookmakers and select the one with the best odds. As a result, you always get the best odds. Interbet offers tote betting, fixed odd multiples, and betting with your mobile phone. To get started, all you need to do is register by filling in your personal information. Log into your account and start wagering.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of Current Affairs. Two group races around the country, but there's always news coming from all around the world, and James is up to speed on most of those. And James, interesting, we saw a very good Kenilworth Fillies nursery.
It was a good fillies nursery. Sometimes this race is a damp squib.
Yes.
But this was a good one, and it was a triumph for Michael Robinson.
Fantastic for a new trainer.
Well, he's not a new trainer as such, but he's new in the trainer's ranks. He's been training up.
He was private, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was private trainer to Drakenstein, and then there was, I don't know what happened there, but he went up on his own, and I think that he thought that he'd battle, but he's got
Marsh and Bryn.
He's got a wife that
That's Doug's
Luella,
daughter.
Doug's daughter.
Yeah.
she gets out there. She's a social media fundi.
That always helps, you know. There's a lot of people, a lot of horses who need that type of help, and well done to him. I think his horse Hot Affair, Bryn Wrestle and Marsh Shirtlift have bought it from. And this is another big tick for JPEG.
Very, very much so. And let's go and pick it up at this. Absolutely dawdles in. Let's go and watch him from the 400.
With a blue cap, she's already in front with about 600 meters to go and going comfortably. You can see one or two of them behind her starting to niggle, but she just goes further and further away the further they go. Let's listen to the commentator for the last 400 meters.
They're being followed further back by Perpetua, who's trying to get into it, but Hot Affair is still clear as they come down to the final 300. Lisa's Prize is taking off behind that one, trying to cut back at Everson, but Hot Affair is running them ragged. They come down to the 200. She's out in front by 3 and widening with each and every stride. Hot Affair is too good. She's dawdling the nursery. Hot Affair is going to win it comfortably. The battle's on for the places. Red Deeza's kicking on best of the rest. Will just get up for second. In behind that one, Elisa's Pride was back in third.
Yeah, it's a very good performance. Well done to everyone we spoke about earlier. Hot Affair, way too good. And as I say, James, I'm not just seeing these JPEGs picking up wins all over the place.
He's a good stallion.
Good
and
stallion.
there were some very nice JPEGs at the National
He was an international Group 1 winner.
Yeah, with Anton Marcus aboard.
That's right.
You remember that ride? We'll never forget that ride.
He took a look at the grandstand.
Well, I think he took a look at the ground and saw that was looming up fast.
Yeah.
He righted his position.
That was
in the
Bamboo
saddle.
Brown, eh? Bamboo Brown was the trainer.
Righted his position in the saddle, young Anton. Anyway, the other big race of the day was the Eastern Cape Derby. Now, this is always a good race, and find all types of people arrive from out of province, normally from the Cape. And horses that have won this race, and I think Vaughan Marshall's had one before, has ended up a top Group 1 horse in South Africa.
There's a few that have shown they can go on a bit. You know, there was a big raid from the Cape. I think Justin Snaith had 27 runners in the day. A lot of winners, well done to him, but he sent a slew of horses there. I saw Glenn Kotson have a winner, Vaughan Marshall had a winner. So the locals, I think only Alan Creef managed to put his hand up and wave at the crowds.
Yeah, well, there's... the first 5 horses were trained in the Cape, and it's quite interesting to go and have a look at them. Let's go and pick them up going through the 400 in the Eastern Cape Derby.
We got Desert Swirler starting to move in now, and it started with the kisses down the far side with Enemy at the gate to whip them into the Derby field. Now the Recall Security East Cape Derby field into the last 500 meters, and Briar King is now starting to stagger now. Sky Sign has gone for first run over to the inside as well, and then behind that one Glenton's looking to run on, and here comes Desert Swirl with a powerful run here as they come into the last 200 here, and Desert Swirl hits the front. Clinton is trying hard, so too Sky Sign with 100 to go. Desert Swirl, Clinton down the inside is coming back for more. Desert Swirl and Clinton with 100 to go, but Desert Swirl has got it in the bag. Desert Swirl from Clinton, then came Sky Sign. It started with a kiss and a time to kill.
There we go, Alan Skuman, my great mate, a wonderful hero. My James, I've been trying hard to get him at the studio. He's a character.
It's hard to get him to move.
Yeah, that's right. He's got his feet nailed down in Port Elizabeth. And if we can get him up here for one, I think the country would like to know a bit more about Alan Skuman. He's a wonderful lad. Yeah. And he's been caught in races.
He's got a style of his own as a commentator.
Absolutely. You can hear him anywhere in the world. I remember when I went to the final field for the Dubai race, and it was worth millions of rand, and they showed you flashes of horses, and Neil Bruss had a horse who had broken his maiden in PE, and we could hear Alan coming across this auditorium calling it home. But we've got to try and get him here, James.
Well, the chap who we're not going to get here as an international commentator is Ted Durkin, because he's retired, called it a day, and Alan Skuman and Ted Durkin are very similar. They've got a style of their own.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember
like
Ted
them
Durkin,
or not like them, they've been around for a long, long time.
That's right. Ted Durkin, I remember when I was there, Ted Durkin always had the Breeders' Cup.
He did it from 84 to 2005, Ted Durkin.
That's right. Ted Durkin always did it, and Trevor Denman took his job in 2005. He does them now.
Well, Trevor Denman's a vast improvement, I would say.
A completely different race caller. You know, the American race callers have got their own style, and they'll stop in the middle of a race and tell you how quickly they've gone. You know, the first quarter in 22.45, and they run another half furlong.
But the point is, it's important.
To them, yes. To the Americans, it is. It's very important.
Times everything's speed.
You must remember, the Americans had Keeneland racetrack without a commentator for years. They were the most knowledgeable race goers because no one called the race. Yeah. And they go to Keeneland, they raced there for years, and they said, no, we've got to get a commentator in now, you know. So the American commentators are different people. But let's talk about this. This is wonderful for Vaughan Marshall, MJ Baileyfeld.
Yeah. And I think it's probably on its way up here for, not for our derby.
No, but it's too young
for the derby.
Too young for our derby. Yeah, but well done to Vaughan, all the clients, everyone, the breeder, everyone concerned with Desert Swirl. A really good win down at Port Elizabeth. Still one of my favourite places to race. Right, those are the two races we had, James. Now let's go through some of the racing news that we've got. I know that you've been checking up on France. France, it's been hot. It's a big weekend for them.
Yeah, well, they have the guineas. Like last week, we had the English guineas, 1,000 and 2,000 guineas. France had their 2,000 and 1,000 guineas. It's called a Pouget d'Essai des Pojans.
Is that your French interpretation?
Yeah, that's my French. How's that?
Sound like you're clearing your throat.
Well, I am, actually.
Sorry, who won that race?
It was won by a Bernstein horse called Cracker Conti. Cracker Conti's its name. It was a very difficult name, like Vercingetorix.
Yeah,
Cracker Conti.
Sounds like you
by Bernstein out of a Japanese mare. Now, this is the interesting thing. It's out of a Japanese mare by Sunday Silence. And I'm not sure that this wasn't bred in Japan.
Okay.
And I think it's probably the first horse ever to have won, certainly the 2,000 guineas that's bred in Japan. It's owned by the Niarchos family, and I think they bred it in Japan. I think that's and trained by Jonathan Pease and Stefan Pasquier rode it. The interesting thing about the Niarchos family, they're quite tightly knit with us as well, because they have that horse, they have major shares in that horse, Chudpot.
Did they retain them? Varsenty's very good stallion. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and the last time the Niarchos family won this race, which is amazing because they're big French players, you know.
Yes.
21 years ago with King Mamba.
Hasn't he been an influence?
Yeah. So, you know, that was 21 years ago they won this race. It's like sort of saying something like either Chris Van Niekerk or Marcus Jooste, 21 years since they won a race in this country. Yeah. You know, that would be a long time for major players.
Correct, yeah.
Anyway, that was the Colts version. The fillies version was won by Avenir Certain, who's by Le Havre, out of a Mark of Esteem mare. Jean-Claude Rouget trained it, and Grégoire Benoit, who came out here. You remember he came and rode. He wasn't the scrum half that played for France. He was a jockey that arrived here and rode in the international. So it was nice to have him here.
Benoit.
Yeah. What else?
You were telling me about worldwide sales. You know, the Arcana sales, and the figures have gone up again, eh, James?
Well, the Arcana Breeze Up they had, which is it used to be the Deauville Breeze Up, which is this time of the year. The top price went from 520,000 euros to 750,000 euros. The market's just taken off. Sheikh Joan bought the Sail Topper. The average was up from 66 to 76. But going back to the Sail Topper, it was pinhooked at the Arcana sale last year for 55,000 euros.
Gee, that's a wonderful.
So you pinnacle horse for 55,000, and it goes to 750,000 euros. Well,
It's a 10 million profit.
This is a market that's really emerging big, and as you know, we're going to Australia now in 2 weeks' time, and we're going to go and pin up some yearlings, weanlings out there, and bring them back here and to see if we can make some money out of that. Because
I agree.
I think that
There is a big market for
it's
pinocchio.
fun
Worldwide,
too,
does it?
Yeah, but it's fun as well. You know, you see something that you purchased and see if it grows and proves and does the right thing.
You know, you're right. Internationally, pinocchio is a big thing. We still have weanling sales here, but on a smaller scale.
I don't think we sold 50 weanings a year. You know,
Is that right?
And Magic Millions has got what 480.
527 weanlings.
527
of all the top
weanlings.
stallions.
Yeah, 527 weanlings. That's as much as we got on our national yearling sales. You can go and pick out 3 or 4 and see what happens, and you're getting international pedigrees.
Well, I've seen it from the purchases right the way through, from the Champions Igugu down to horse like one Goldie Coast, it cost 14 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. The pinocchio is some people are famous for it, James.
Yeah,
Some of the great
it's a business, and I think that it's business that I'm looking forward to getting involved in, and I think that it's going to be some fun. We'll go and see what happens.
Any other news?
Yeah, the Golden Horse Casino live draw is taking place here on Winning Ways next Monday.
Perfect.
They're doing the draw for the Golden Horse Casino, and Graham Hawkins will be doing it, you know, our third partner.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear that.
I didn't hear that either. With Maureen.
With Maureen.
Maureen.
Maureen?
The lady from the casino. That's all I'll get away here.
Okay, yeah.
Maureen.
The lady from the casino.
Let's give her a surname.
We're just
Let's
giving
give her a
We're just
surname,
giving
James.
the information as it comes, hot off the press.
Yeah, hot from our producer.
Yeah.
He's mumbling in our ears. Maybe
Maureen.
he said more rain. Sorry.
They
rain.
need more rain. Need more rain before the
Maureen
meeting.
who? Gillett.
Tivit.
Okay,
Maureen
Tivit.
Tivit. Do you know
Tivit.
Maureen? She's been here before.
Yes, I know Maureen.
Yeah.
She always does good work with the casino.
She's a great person to
Anything
know.
else there, James?
Just the mare sale again, just reminder, that goes to
What mare sale?
the mare sale, the mixed mare sale.
What are they selling? Mix.
Yeah, Mick Fitzgerald.
You can
Mick,
buy
Mick
2
Flanagan,
Irish and hello,
Mick
I'd like 2
Flanagan.
mix, please. Can I have 2 mix? give me
A mix.
I'm at the mare mix sale.
A mixed mare sale.
Oh, mixed.
National Thoroughbred Breeders Association mixed mare sale has been postponed till the 17th of July. So don't think you can go and buy an Irishman there. You might find 1 or 2 to drink with, but it's somewhere down the Western Cape. I think it's from Klein something or others.
Yeah, something English.
You'll find out from Caroline Simpson. Anyway, anything you want to know, give Caroline a call. She is so accommodating, it's not even possible.
James, big race this Friday.
Yeah, the Betting World 1900.
It's always been a race. It's been a pointer over the years. I don't think
this is a non-appointer.
I don't think it's that strong a field, but James, there's some horses coming through that could make their mark.
Rio Carnival looks like the likely
Guinea's
favourite.
runner-up, yeah.
And there's
Have you got the field there?
Royal Zulu Warriors top weight, so it'll be
he's a good
interesting to
Group
see
2
how
winner.
he goes. And Astro News not a bad horse. and
He's a
he's
good
sure
horse.
shown
That's
his-
Stan Ellie's horse. Not Stanley.
No,
What's
it's-
Stanley? Punta Arenas.
No, it's Charles Laird.
Yeah, Punta
Punta Arenas is in there. I saw he was on the log. He's about 11th or 12th on the July log. So you expect him
prepped
to
well
run.
the other day
It's
in the
actually
drill
not a
log.
bad race at all.
Yeah.
You get Show Gunner, who's the best one-time winner.
He's
or
a
was the best
two-time winner
one-time-
now, I
was the
think he's-
best one-time winner that's
Yeah.
ever raced in South Africa. Espumante at the bottom of the weights. 12 runners. Delpeche rides that for the cock. One Cool Dude, who I think is a very nice horse.
Very decent horse.
But
Very decent.
it's interesting now you see 12 runners in a race like this as a handicap. Okay, top weight 60. What do you think the bottom weight is?
52.
No, take another guess.
54.
55 and a half.
That's what I
With a
meant.
filly. Okay, that's what you meant.
That's what I meant. Yeah, only 12 runners is concertinaed from the top.
Well, the point is when you get 12 runners in a race, that's what's going to happen.
James, if the Vodacom Durban July is going to be 16 runners, which we've been told, when will they start increasing the fields? What will the Daily
Increasing
News
what
field?
field?
Increasing the size of the fields.
Once the polytrack's completed.
Once the polytrack's
is the
complete.
latest news I have, and I promise you that is the news today at this moment.
Okay, so just for the people out there that are saying, well, can I get into these big races? Am I going to get into Daily News? Am I going to get into Will Avington? Am I going to get into these races that are Group 1s here if there's only 12 runners? So as we near the big one, do you think they'll go to 14 or 16?
Well, the thing is, the polytrack, the first meeting on the polytrack's the 11th of June.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's got to be completed by then. So
Yeah.
that means that
You can stretch them out.
I would think the Daily News, you would, there are 2 trial races after the Daily News on the polytrack. So it
Right.
will be completed by then,
Okay.
which is great. And, you know,
Okey-doke, so
that's a story.
interesting.
I don't have anything else. I don't know if there's anything that we missed out, but that seemed to be the major news all around the world.
Yeah, for the current affairs.
And now we go, for those of you that missed it, we're going to Benny van der Merwe, the farm manager and partner in Mouton's Hoek Stud
Yeah.
Farm, and he is at the coalface as far as the protocols are concerned for import-export of horses from South Africa. And he and we've got an interview later on, which Andrew Bond put these interviews together for us. He formatted them at the National Yearling Sales with Dr. Ian Sanna.
Dr. Ian
So that
Sanna.
will follow this one, and then we'll go in and
Yeah.
have a
And
look at Alan Creef
Creef.
and Michael Azzi.
Yeah.
We've got a couple of
We've
nice
got a couple of
interviews.
very, very nice interviews
Yeah.
coming through. Then we'll get back to males because they're always part and parcel. Just touching on males, I bumped into a guy who wanted to put males, and he said to me, now that they're doing this blitz, James, after each meeting they do a blitz and they get the staff's reports, and he said, how many times the horses run badly and they say, nothing detected, nothing detected. He said, what's stopping a horse running badly? And they'd say, well, it's fine, it's trotted out sound after the race. The vet's made his call, an honest call, and the staff report says, so-and-so, let's call it Big John, the horse was trotted sound, but jockey found something amiss. What happens then? The punter said, shouldn't something go on? Shouldn't they go back and say, listen, there's something amiss? You've got to protect the punter.
I find
here.
it quite strange. We see more horses eased out in this country than anywhere else in the world.
Yes.
I watch racing all over the world, and jockeys ride horses to the finish.
Yeah, I actually picked up the phone and spoke to Pierre Stradom because he was involved with a horse that did it, and he explained it all to me. He had reported. That's what you want to hear. He had reported it before the race.
But if he, this is where the dilemma comes.
Yes.
If he reports it before the race that there's something wrong with the horse,
Yes.
he's not happy with the
Yes.
horse, then he's got a valid excuse for easing it out.
Yes.
But then surely
It
it shouldn't run.
You know, the vet's got a decision where many people on the other side, just to cover our vets, on the other side of the coin, people will say to the vet, listen, this horse might trot behind the gate, he's like that, but he's 1-4, that's him. So the vet's got a decision where he has to make the call.
But if the vet turns around and says to the jockey, we know this horse has got a history of trotting like this, then surely the jockey's got no reason to ease the horse out.
Good point.
So it's
So
it works both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
You know,
And the loser's the punter,
if
James.
the only horse that you have a problem with is a horse that actually never has any problem with his action.
No record of any
No
problem.
record, and suddenly he gets eased out of a race and they find nothing amiss afterwards.
Now,
Then
what do
that
you do
should be
then?
looked
I'll ask you
into.
then.
That should be looked
Inquiry?
into. Yeah, the horse should be. I would think that the stipe should send the vet out the next day to the stable, check the horse out fully, and then have an
And then,
inquiry.
I'm going to ask you to go one further. If the vet at the stable concurs with the vet on race day who trotted the hot
That
horse,
there's nothing wrong
and
with
there's
the
nothing wrong with the horse, and the horse is favourite and pulled out of a race, what should they look
There should
into
be
and
an
say?
inquiry, I would
I
think,
agree.
yeah,
I agree.
yeah. And you know,
But the
at end
punters
of the
are starting
day,
to pick it up from the
that's the whole
staff's
point,
report.
The people that are being disadvantaged here are the punters. So you've got to actually look after your punters.
Yeah.
And
Owners,
yeah.
trainers, everyone's losing for someone making a decision. I agree with you. We're going to look more into that. We'll get some more details and facts, but it's an interesting point to close off the
Can
current
we now
affairs.
go to Benny van der Merwe?
Let's
I'm
go.
tired of
Let's
talking
go
to
and
you.
talk to
Benny van der Merwe.
Britain's Got Talent
you'll enjoy-
runner-up, Benny van der Merwe, dancing section.
Champions on parade. 90 days of all-star horse racing. Champion season lights up the night with more big race brilliance. Friday night, 16 May at Gravel Racecourse. It's the Grade 2 Betting World 1900, won last year by the explosive Jet Explorer, securing his invitation to the 2013 Vodacom Durban July. Champions against champions. All-star horse racing brought to you by Gold Circle. Bet Tab Gold, the intelligent bet.
Benny, thanks very much for joining me. It's wonderful to have you here. You're a veterinarian, you're involved in racing with Mouton Zouk, the breeding side of things. And we want to talk to you about the import and export protocols, the stories abounding. We'd like to know where we stand at this stage with regard to the South African racing public. Tell me how you fit in.
Yeah, thanks, Lef. Great to be here. I've always been involved in research and had some involvement with the Equine Research Centre, but then I ran the gauntlet and I actually got elected to the council of the TBA. And one of the jobs I was given was to serve on the management committee of the ERC, the Equine Research Centre at OP, the vet school. I got there and I discovered there was a big problem in that vets who make their entire living in industry had not been represented pretty much ever on the management committee of the ERC, and that basically there had been a little bit of a rift between industry on the one side, which I represent as the TBA, and then the scientists on the other side, in that the scientists were doing great work, and please don't get me wrong, but they lacked a little bit of guidance, direct guidance from the industry per se.
Okay, so you got involved a couple of years ago. You've seen people, I'll use the likes of Michael de Kock. We've got this huge problem, import and export. It's taking, the rest of the world are getting their horses in and out. We take 5 months to get a horse to race in Dubai or in Europe. And we need to start going forward and getting the right things. Are we going in the right direction, do you think, at this stage?
I think we've started going in the right direction, and I think that that one frequently hears that we were better off 10 and 15 years ago. And the reality is that we probably were, but it was for various reasons. One is that we'd been pretty much under the radar.
Well, it was a great privilege for me to be out there that year for the centenary and to see London News win for Mr. Jaffe was really a great occasion. And it was on that occasion I said to him, I want to see this horse at Royal Ascot. And indeed, yesterday we did see the horse. He ran a great race, I think. To be beaten by an exceptional horse is no disgrace, and it's very good for international racing that Mr. Jaffe, who's such a sportsman, should bring his horse to England, take on the best, and I hope he will continue to run the horse here, and I hope others will follow his suit, because it's so important.
I think along with the success of Mike de Kock, and bless him for everything that he's achieved for our country, came the downside of it, and that's basically our potential trading partners, especially the ones with breeding industries, would have had just cause to feel slightly threatened by us because our product was patently good and with the exchange rate was going to be patently cheap. So they upped the ante. So part of the reason why we slightly worse off then was that we flew under the radar in those days.
So now we've been exposed and they're having to go at African horse sickness and saying, we can't get our horses overseas, South Africa. I can see why they don't want us there. As you say, you just highlighted the points, but are there still countries that are opposed to us getting easy access?
I would say so. They wouldn't overtly, and they wouldn't come on a show like this and tell us that, Left. But they, with their actions and the attitudes of some of their administrators, it is blatantly obvious. And so they have a convenient excuse at this stage. And I would categorically say that I have a high level of suspicion that a good component of it would be a trade barrier, you know, and a convenient excuse, African horse sickness. And we haven't helped ourselves. We've allowed too many of these pictures with these horses dying terrible deaths get out all over the world and that kind of stuff. But the point is that there are two issues here. There is minimally, I always believe that we need to be minimally scientifically compliant. So we have to comply with something that is written in a code, and then once we've achieved that, if we then knock on doors and every single door remains shut, then one has the kind of ammunition that you could go to the World Trade Organization and say, listen guys, we're not being treated fairly here.
Who writes the code?
Well, the OIE
stands for?
Well, it stands for Organisation Internationale de Epizootiologie, which basically is the World Health Organization for animals. So in the past, all of our dealings have been with the EU because the EU were the only people who basically had codes of practice for diseases in place, and that was our default setting, and that's how we got into this situation where we have the free zone around Cape Town, the surveillance zone and the protection zone. That was an EU development that was later taken over. People basically kicked off with the EU, and later only did the OIE basically get their ducks in a row and make some recommendations for every disease. African horse sickness happens to be one of the diseases that there would be codes for. at the OIE.
Have we ever sent a horse over to EU or anywhere that is found to be positive over there with African horse sickness?
Absolutely not. I mean, you know, it's well documented that all the first horses from Australia, or many of them came from South Africa, they came on ships, and I don't have to tell you why we never did, but things have changed dramatically. And one of the things that I discovered when I got onto the management committee of the ERC is some of the brilliant work they've done. There's a lot of terms that we throw around here that people don't realize the massive amount of work that these people have achieved on a very limited budget and with very limited staff. One of the terms that we're all very glib with these days is PCR, which is a very, very good diagnostic test developed at OP, at the ERC, that is very, very robust and
is it foolproof?
Absolutely, yep.
So they do a test that can tell you within a certain period of time that the horse is clear.
Yeah, Laffy, we throw these terms like PCR around, and one of the things we need to know to be minimally scientifically compliant is that this PCR test of ours needs to be validated. The first phase of validation is over, which is that it was published in a peer-reviewed, highly, highly respected journal, full marks and liked very much. The next thing we had to do was to get it tested in other labs other than ours to prove that it's robust. There were some hiccups with that in that, for instance, the samples you had to send contained African horse sickness. So some of the government said, sorry, we're not having those. So then we had to irradiate them. That took another while. Then we had to prove that after irradiation, they still, the test still worked. It did. So now we're ready, and we were about to send it off to 5 labs all over the world when, fortunately for us, the OIE got involved and said, well, while you're doing this, why don't you send it to our reference labs as well? And I say fortunately because they've basically now taken ownership of the next phase of validation, and that would make it a lot easier for us to get that test written into the manual.
How does the test take place? What do you do?
Well, you basically have the samples of blood, you spin them down, you extract the sample, you put it in a machine, and literally in a 4-hour time you get a reading. 4 hours. So your turnaround is under 24 hours if it comes from the Western Cape to the other side.
Now, I know the EU send auditors out every couple of years and they try and come back and give us a report. The last one wasn't that flattering.
Yeah, it wasn't that flattering, and you know, this is not the place to bash people, sure. But as industry we hold our heads up high in that the things that we were involved in, Kenilworth Quarantine Station, got glowing reports. There were some problems with movement controls and some of the things within the State Department at DAF that we have no control over, and therefore would not easily have known the gravity of those problems. So, you know, we cop a little bit of flack and say, but you boys should have known that. No, because there are certain places where we just don't go.
The optimum scenario would be that's accepted, the test is accepted, worldwide they're very happy. Well, are we looking at maybe 2 weeks here, 2 weeks in another country, a week here? What type of time periods or vector protected quarantine stations? Well, what type of time?
Yeah. Look, one of the things that we've been trying for the last time, remembering that we started off with the EU, moved on to the OIE, and the EU's legislation lags behind the OIE is another thing that one just needs to keep in the back of your mind, is that we've always been very focused on the EU for obvious reasons. And then the OIE came with a code, and they did 2 things. They made a provision for regionalisation. That's why we kept on this focus on the free area around Cape Town, which is to say that area of a country is free of African horse sickness. And we set out for that to be one of our goals. The rest of South Africa is infected with African horse sickness. We know that. But so that trade can happen, there is an OIE protocol at this stage which caters for a 14-day complete vector-proof lockdown with PCR in the beginning and PCR at the end, and then theoretically one would be able to trade. The rub in that is we cannot get one person from one country to just even sit at a table and discuss that. They are not interested. And the reason is basically, rightly or wrongly, they believe that every midge outside of that facility is wall-to-wall with African horse sickness. And that is not a risk that they're prepared to accept.
What about seasonal?
The OIE did away with the concept of seasonality, and if you ask me why, I don't know. They basically feel that many of these diseases can overwinter. For that reason, they don't accept.
So no country wants to talk to us. All the good work we do, what happens if the OIE, whatever you call it, they come forward and say, listen, we're endorsing this. Now they put it out to all their countries and all their labs, and everyone gives us the thumbs up. It still means there's got to be a will.
Sure.
And there's no will coming from any country?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. And this is why the export-import workshop of last week was such a major step forward. What we basically did, Racing South Africa and Wits Health under Professor Ian Zanna got together this import-export workshop where we got leading veterinarians from 4 major countries, people with real influence, people who do influence government.
Countries?
The USA, Singapore, Australia. There were actually 2 from Australia.
So the Aussies came, open-minded?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, they are big rivals, but I think they've made peace with the fact that we've got this thing about the Aussie gevaar. Yeah. The Aussies have got such a big industry. They've got such a big industry that they, I don't think they see us as a major threat with 3,500.
They export as many as we breed nearly.
Correct.
So how did they get around their viruses? Hendra, things like that. How did they get around there? That crosses species. How did they get around? We can't know. I need an honest opinion.
Yeah, look, I mean, before I was on the council of the TBA, I was also president of SAEVA, the South African Equine Veterinary Association, and I attended AGMs of the Equine Veterinarians Australia, and at that stage, some of the viruses that had trade implications, I just gave different names. So West Nile virus got called Kunjun virus or Murray River virus, but people got onto them, and they now have to toe the line just like everybody else.
Have they got quarantines?
Yes. No, they do, and they have very strict policies. The point is that one can learn from everybody. Yes. And when the EU came and they had some recommendations about our movement controls and surveillance and things that we needed to do in this free area, in fact, the first organization we hired to assist us with that was a company called AusVet, who came and gave us some epidemiological advice to us and DAF as to how we should manage
DAF standing for?
Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, so basically the state veterinarians, who ultimately are responsible. And this is the point about protocols. Protocols happen is a government-to-government thing. Yes, we identify people that would potentially trade with us, we have a discussion with us, but the final discussions as to how the rules of play are basically thrashed out between government and a government, and the reference, they will go and look at an OIE code and use that as a basis tool of a document that they would then negotiate how exports would work between South Africa and Hong Kong, for argument's sake. In the past, we never ever did anything without consulting, because ultimately it would be a veterinarian that recommends to their government how they think it should happen. And it would be wrong to say that that's not the way we went about it in the past. We did. But this time, we brought them and we made them part of the process for 2 days. For the first day, it was a real vetty day where lots of vets, locals from this country and these guys, internationals, were all under one roof. And we thrashed out the potentials, the pitfalls, the things. And the second day, we put it broader out to industry. And basically, the purpose was to say, to our colleagues in various countries, if we did X, Y, and Z, would you be able to sell that to your government? That was the aim of the whole thing. We felt them out and say, would this be acceptable to you? And the one thing that's in the OI code is this beautiful lockup facility that will cost somewhere between 80 and 100 million rand. The code makes provision for a complete lockdown of horses for 14 to 21 days. So it'll have to be big enough to exercise and carry on, and they have treadmills.
It has to be like a hangar.
Like a hangar. Correct.
At an airport?
Somewhere close enough so that you basically could load the horses under vector-protected conditions, take them in a vector-protected jet stall into the airplane and out of there. And even with that guarantee, we did not find a single veterinarian from those countries who said that they thought that they could sell that to their concept.
They couldn't sell that?
No, not interested. So we said, well, what can we do? And this is the good news, is that because of our relationship with these various people, they go, but there is something that we could sell. And we go, what is this? But we knew what it was, which is that we use Kenilworth as it is. We basically do not try and go the free zone, because we all know what happens. Just about when you're about to be declared free after 2 years, we get another incursion in the free zone, another 2 years, and you never get there. So from the time that we've had the free zone, we've had trade for 50% of the time. Yeah. So we've accepted that. But What it does give you is that there's never ever been African horse sickness anywhere in the free zone. The closest they ever got was around the 30k mark. So now we're starting to talk. We say, why don't we ramp up Kenilworth as a vector protected facility? We make some adjustments that are not going to cost the earth, in that the animals get loaded completely in a vector protected, they get loaded into a vector protected jet stall. They exercise in a vector protected area, so they don't go and do their grass gallops. Remember, this is now not a long quarantine. We're talking 14 to 21 days max. We then take them in a vector protected facility into an aircraft, and off they go. PCR the day they go in, PCR the day out. Do you think you could sell that to your government? Unanimous? Yes. The principle of the concept, and the point is, what we're doing here, and this is the part that frustrated me in the past, is that I know as a veterinarian that the midgies whizzing around in Cape Town do not carry African horse sickness. We know that. We know we've had incursions into our area, the Greater Western Cape, but they've invariably been because of illegal movements. Now, if you are testing a horse within 24 hours of it leaving, having spent 2 to 3 weeks in a completely vector-proof facility, what are the odds that between when you test it and when it gets onto the plane, a midge is going to fly 60, 70, 100, 200,000 kilometers, bust through this facility and infect a horse with African horse sickness? Now you're taking the decimal point of risk way down the line. Yes. Now surely that should be acceptable, and the consensus from the veterinarians present was that would be acceptable.
Well, as you can hear, it's been absolutely riveting, wonderful to hear where we're going, and it's a pity we haven't been able to touch on Mouton's Hook and your new stallion, but we'll certainly get round to that.
Thanks, Laf. I'm actually gutted. I thought I'd come in on the show to talk about Marchfield.
And Marchfield is closing like a shot on the far outside. And it's Marchfield and Champs-Élysées. Rahi's attorney doesn't have it this afternoon. Marchfield has taken the lead. Rahi's attorney, Medjool, final 16th of a mile. Marchfield